up guys, thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we're gonna do a haircut tutorial. We're gonna do a pompadour slick back style with the skin fade on the sides, so let's get started. Our client's hair, just gonna wet it down. Pretty much all of my haircuts, we're going to start with the foundation. We're going to find the dominant growth pattern. For this particular style, since it's going to be more of a slick back, we're going to make sure first that if you have a client that wants this kind of look, but they come in with more of like a conventional shorter haircut where it's going to be more back crown dominant first, I would say check out their front hairline to see if they have enough length to kind of go for this look, and because we need length in the front here to be the dominant growth pattern, just so it has enough length to kind of do this first. But make sure if they don't have enough length there, you know, give them a transitional cut for the time being, and if they do have plenty of length, then you're good to go. So hair is wet down. With that being said, let's find the dominant growth pattern in the front. First, I'm going to do it with feel. Just basically finding where it naturally wants to sit. And now that I've found it with feel, I'm going to use my eyes to get more precise, and I think that's about right there. A little bit more precise. Just laying the groundwork for the foundation. This is where we're going to create the shape. This is where we're going to transition into our clipper work. So just be patient with this part. I know for barbers, they just want to hurry up and section it right away and get to the cut, but take your time. So we can see here, background to the front. So let's get started here. Depending on what kind of length you want the final look to be, you check your client's previous length combined with where their occipital sits. If you wanted the look to be a little longer, it could be dragged. It could start a little lower. Shorter, it can start a little higher. For this look, yeah, we're just gonna go right in between the neutral zone. And I'm just going to find my previous guide, short bit, long bit. So we're just going to cut right there. And we're just going to go around, create our guide for the starts. Following. And then once I get to the front of the ear, I'm actually going to pull out and create my new line extended. Just so, like I said in the beginning, we want to make sure the front area is the dominant length. And then let's work, make sure that's all even. And once I come around to the back here, we want everything kind of behind the ear to be more of a natural shape and rounded. So most of the weight and for these haircuts are right in this area. So slight elevation from where we started. And let's round it out. And we can already see how That's already going to be a nice smooth transition. Other side, same thing. We're going to work our way around. Rounded in the back. Work our way to the front. And once we get in front of the ear, create a new line so it's a little bit longer in the fringe. Sometimes you don't really, like we said, if it's more in that transitional phase in the front, obviously for this length it is a little bit longer, so we're cutting it short. But if they just happen to have something a little shorter, just because you follow this pattern doesn't mean you have to cut here. If the length is already sufficient enough, you can just kind of leave it as is. Same thing on this side. A little bit of elevation. Kind of get rid of that weight. So that's pretty much the foundation and the guide that we're going to do for the rest of this cut. A little bit of water. Now from that guide, I'm going to cut the length and the weight in the middle. Let's get both parts that we've cut. There's our length, our guide, and we cut to that point. There's our length. We match it to our guide. Same thing over here. Just following the natural roundness. And then once we slowly transition to the front, you can see I'm pulling straight up. And we're gonna get this nice shape for our finished look because of that. Pulling straight out. And then we're gonna work it backwards. Just so for precision, shape control, just patience this part. Have the discipline, have the patience, cross-check everything. That part is complete. See, it's already progressing nicely. Now we're gonna work on the sides a little bit here. This time we're gonna transition from natural recession point to the background and kind of cross-check, do the cross graduation from there. Natural recession point, apex of the head. Come back around, cross it this way. And now let's begin our cross graduation. Start with this side first. First, let's make sure our line is straight. That's pretty good. We make sure our initial guide is even and straight. And then from there, we're gonna go from diagonal sections back to horizontal. So And then from here, we kind of find that initial guide we always started with. I'm always going to harken back to that because, like I said, that initial foundation length is the key to the entire haircut here. We don't need to find a traveling guide anymore because we always have that checkpoint from our initial length that we cut. So everything's going to blend in nicely. Then we slowly work our way towards the back. And since everything underneath this point is going to be clippered, I don't have to take this sectioning all the way down because it's just going to be clippered. So be patient, but also pick and choose so you're most efficient. A little bit of the next section, just so there's no weight line. A little bit of elevation now. You drag it low, means more weight, more elevation, lighter, blended. That's all. So that's gonna sit nicely. Want it to be just slightly heavier in the back for that shape. And that side is done. Same step, other side. Recession point, apex, the background dominance pattern, cross it. First we cross-check straight. Making sure our guide is even. Now let's work our diagonal patterns here. Kind of lift up. You see the guide. Diagonal. I'm gonna come back around into horizontal. Just taking our time, working with precision. Your patience here is gonna lead to much cleaner shape to clipper into once we get all of this dry. And then all of a sudden you can see how nicely that sits. Same thing, slight elevation above that initial, just so it leaves us less work later to get rid of some of the weights. That would be slightly heavier in the back. And just like that, we can already see the shape forming. We're gonna get this mostly dry so we can see our shape, and then let's get started on our clipper work. We're gonna blow dry for this part. some sort of volumizer, pre-styler while the hair is damp. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of matte paste. We're gonna work it into the damp hair. I'm gonna blow dry this all in. All right, once we work that in there, we'll get our blow drying done. This part of the drying process, we want it mostly dry, but 100% dry is not necessary. All we're doing is just kind of forming our rough draft shape for our clipper work. You can slowly see how just setting up that foundation in the beginning, we already have like a preview of what our finished look is going to look like. Flows nicely. Nice shape in the front, blended towards the back. And obviously for consultations, that you can let them know in the beginning how you're going to style the hair. Is a blow dryer necessary? What kind of product does it use? Or save it to the end. But I love this haircut. It's stylish, has a timelessness to it, and quite frankly, it's very easy to style. The length just kind of helps it keep its shape. There's no partings or anything you need to worry about. If the length is long enough, obviously, cowlicks in the back don't come into play because it all just kind of draws back very predictably. You can wear it casually with like a light lotion, leave-in conditioner, or throw in a very strong hold pomade, and it'll all look good. But yeah, very nice shape already. This is gonna help me visualize to do my clipper work easier, where to kind of stop so I don't go too aggressive and makes a wonky shape. It'll leave a nice square profile when the client looks up from the front. So we're gonna do a skin fade, bald fade. We're gonna go through the process of what I do for a bald fade. Put in my new battery. Palm to palm, scissor work at the top correlates to probably a 3-guard. Less clipper over comb, scissor over comb when this kind of blends in. And I already see the zone where I use the scissor work, so it's very easy to kind of see my guide and take my initial number 3 guard right into that area. And you can see very minimal bulk that I have to clipper over comb, scissor over comb with. So I'm never lost on if I'm going too high, too low with this initial step, because I already see it with the scissor work I did in the beginning. Just kind of debulking, getting my canvas set up. Same thing in the back, just kind of meeting to that initial cut guideline I did in the way beginning. And then from here, let's debulk it a little bit. Use whatever you like. I like doing clipper over comb for this part. And in the end, I'm probably going to fine tune it anyway with scissor over comb just so it softens it up a little bit. But for this initial step, just cleaning it up. And like I said, I clipper over comb this part. You can take your 3 guard and open it up, take a 4 guard and debulk it, whatever you like, whatever is comfortable for you, whatever is going to make the end result look good. I'm just comfortable doing clipper over comb for this stage. So yeah, that's our initial foundation. For all ball fades, whether a client specifically asks for high-low, I start my initial guide low regardless because it just gives me that much room to kind of start blending as I go up anyways. If I take this initial guide higher, I literally have no space to blend, and then I'm going to go too high and it's going to ruin the shape of the cut. So I suggest starting out lower is going to be better. It just gives you more room to adjust later if you want it higher. But I like to keep it low. And on this client specific hair texture, even though you can see the area that's going to be bald is low, the finished look is actually, the gradient's going to make it look like it's going to be more of a medium to high fade anyway, so. Just making it easy on me. Just so, like I said, I have that space to work my way up without it being too condensed. Check out a little bit. Perfect. And we're gonna work our way around. Making sure each step of the tasks are done cleanly first before I go to the next one, so it's just gonna help my eyes visualize the blend better. It won't lead me to go back and fix this later if I just kind of do it now. Just clean work. Just make sure my canvas is clean to work on. It just helps me not get lost in the fade if I just do all these steps one at a time instead of punching a line, go back to it later, set up all the guidelines. I just like getting rid of the initial steps step by step first. Then we'll work our way up. For clients with the beard, obviously we're gonna blend the sideburns into the haircut as we go along. We do not want to leave just a demarcation line. It's just gonna leave an unflattering look for the final product anyways. We'll get it completely bald with our shaver. It makes the entire gradient of the fade in its entirety pop off even more. If we could do this with the shaver. And I'm leaving just a little bit of a line up there, and I'll go back in with that with my trimmer. That part's out of the way. And then from here, like I said, I debulked it with my deep tooth trimmer. Now this is my shorter tooth, just so we can get transition this step between the trimmer and the shaver. Just so it's just that much more seamless for later. Okay, let's do our next step here. So I'm going to show you my skin fade process. I like to work in panels or zones. A lot of people like to just do one step all the way around, next step all the way around. I like to do it in panels just so, like I said initially, if both sides are different, I just don't want to make one move. If one side of the hair is a different texture than the other, I want to make sure one side is cohesively blended, and then I'll go to the next instead of doing everything at the same time all around and then going at the end and then having to fix it later. Why not take the extra minute or two, do one side now, just so you don't have to waste time later. So we're going to start with this side, this panel right here. We're going to fade up and then blend down. I'm going to take my half guard, close all the way, set up my initial guide. Helps me see it very clearly. No guard, halfway open, blend right up to that half guard line. .25, aka just one more notch close. Closed all the way now. Process of elimination. We go to our trimmer. Next guard up. Take our one guard, close all the way. Next guideline. You can see initially, like I said, I started that bald line very low, and you can gradually see that this is all of a sudden it's looking more and more like a mid fade. Process of elimination again. We'll take our half guard again, halfway open. Blend right into it. A little bit lower, 0.25. Close all the way. Same thing, process of elimination. No guard, open all the way. Halfway. point to side, close. Fading up is complete. Now we're going to blend back down. That was a 3-guard close that we initially started at that point. Blending down, 2-guard, open all the way, blending right into that 3-guard we did in the beginning. Close. Working our way down. 1.5 guard, open. Halfway. Close. Next one down. 1 guard, open all the way. Halfway. Close. And obviously, I'm going to cross-check everything at the end anyways. We're just going to get through our steps first. Blending down. Half guard, open all the way now into it. Halfway. Close. And just kind of subconsciously, we have this very, very nice blend just going through all my steps. Now I'm just cross-checking. Since we're here, we'll blend a little bit of the beard in there. We'll do a little bit of a reverse fade. This is my half guard. Started out closed to open. That blends in nicely. We'll do our no guard close to get the initial line out. Halfway. Open all the way. We'll get our trimmer. And now that looks much more cohesive and blended into the beard. Now let's get our lines clean and sharpened, and we'll go on the other side. Left it darkened a little bit in the front just so our C-cup angle pops off a little more. And then we'll razor all this in at the end anyways. Clean up the beard while we're down here. Looking good. Like I said at the end, I see a little dark here. Scissor over comb. Cross check my guards later, but that's a good foundation. Now that we see this panel, I can kind of adjust, work my way so it's blended all together. Let's finish off this panel. Same thing, step 1. Half guard close all the way. No guard, open halfway, blending it up. 0.25, close. Next one, 1 guard, closed. We're gonna go back down, half guard, halfway open, 0.25, closed. Process of elimination, no guard open, halfway, closed. Once we're back here near the mastoid, the hair is going to be a little denser. That's why it's key to kind of see the visual of your first zone in the front of the ear, just so the same open close techniques, it might leave this area a little darker if it's the same. So I'm just kind of opening and closing now until I get to the next step. Next one up, 2.5. Now we're going to go back down again. Close. One and a half guard. Open. Halfway. Close. One guard. Open all the way. Halfway. Close. Process of elimination. We're going to go down to a half guard open. Halfway. Close. And then, like I said, we can spot check at the end, but one side is completely done for the most part. One looks good, cross-check in the mirror. And then let's just do the entire other side, and you can just follow along. And then see if you can follow along exactly what I did on the other side. And then you can just check my steps with me as I do it. So I'm just gonna go full throttle here. You can kind of see on this side where, since I'm using this side as a just going straight through without explaining, that I am slightly jumping around here and there, but I'm jumping it down with jumping up and skipping on with the purpose where the tool I'm using, I know what zone I need it for if I see something. But for the most part, the steps are pretty much the same. And obviously, if this is not your formula, it feels like a lot. It feels like a certain steps you might think you can skip it. By all means, go ahead if it comes out super clean for you. But obviously, with anything, since I practiced this system, it's very second nature, easy for me. It gives me the most control. It gives me the most satisfaction with my blends when I use this formula. And then, like we said, we're gonna go back, cross-check the dark spots, but we're gonna finish up, meet the crown back here. A little tilt, perfect. Next one up. I'm just finishing up same steps. And you can see from this angle, I can kind of see the dark spots that I'm gonna fix at the end. Same thing with this side, I can see a little bit there, but we're gonna finish up our initial steps. We faded up, now we're just same thing, blending back down, using our process of elimination. At this angle, you can see I'm using more corners, just so I can start alleviating dark spots without creating another guideline or anything. Just bringing the blend together slowly. Those initial dark spots. I'm slowly working on all this. You can see it's going away slowly and it's becoming nice stretched out blends. And I harken back to, like, yeah, we all start with a very, very, very low guideline in the beginning, and now we have a nice aggressive, clean fade, but also connected to the top. Now just using corners, picking away. Going back to our initial side. Put my clippers away, and then, like I said, finding anything pretty much at the end here, cross-checking, finding heavy spots. That sits nicely. You can see just with blow dried and a little bit of that pre-blow dry, that clean shape that we sculpted is already there. So this is already flowing. Great natural style here. But I'm just gonna make sure, get rid of some heavy spots. Nothing too crazy, just so we can soften it a little bit. Elevate up, just so it's just that much cleaner. Any dark spots underneath, you can also take scissors, use more guard work, whatever you feel like for this part, just to alleviate dark spots. Sometimes on different hair textures I incorporate my blending shears for this part, but scissor overcome is always going to be my first option to alleviate the final weight. Flows very nicely, cohesively. And I'm always cross-checking in my mirror. Let's go to the other panel. Cross-check in my mirror. I can see some heaviness in this area. Very nicely. Same thing on this side. The top sits very nicely. Alleviate some weight back there. Let me do a cross check on this side one more time. And from my vantage point here, like I said, everyone's sides of their heads are different. For this client, this side where I'm working on right now is slightly denser than the other side. That's why I'm trying to alleviate a little bit more dark spots on this side than the other side. But that sits a little bit cleaner. Nice gradient. And now where the 2 points meet back here, slightly heavy right there. We want a little bit of weight, but at the same time, let's alleviate some. And for this part, texture shears, or I can just take the top layer and point cut into it. That'll slowly get rid of some of the weight. Or lift up, elevates back down, and you can slowly see it going away. A little bit of a spot there. elevation, back down, then one more time. Just the little details. The shop-friendly haircut. We have 45 minutes service time, so at this point I should be right at the finish line, but also having time for this part. Just so everything sits very nicely. I'll do one more look around. We can see from my front profile, aggressive skin fade on the side, slightly disconnected, but we see a nice clean square profile from the front. That's what we want with majority of barbered haircuts. Not too high, not too low where there's too much weight. It's gonna grow out clean. The top has somewhere to sit instead of it just being clippered all the way up into the top hair zone. It's just going to grow out wonky, looking more like an upside down triangle shape, which isn't flattering whatsoever. So at this point, hair should be mostly dry, but we're going to finish it off, get it 100% dry. Okay, I'm gonna remove this, clean up a little bit, sharpen it up, do our boundary lines with the razor. We're gonna clean up the edges here. I'll use my clear shapes here just so I can see my boundary lines better for the cut. Clean up the C-cup area. Since my client has a beard, we'll sharpen the edge up in the middle. At the bottom of the neck area here. Get my razor, fresh blade already loaded. And we'll just clean up the edges. For this hairstyle, we want to leave it natural as possible, but just slightly cleaning up the edges just makes it look sharper. We're not going too deep, we're not creating a super crisp edge up, but at the same time we want it to look in sharp. It makes everything pop a little better. Same thing if the client has a beard. We want to make sure the sideburn is blended into the haircut so it fades nicely and, you know, sharpen it up for them. They'll be very happy walking out of the shop. Same thing with the neck shave. Clean up the boundary on the other side. Nice and clean. Dispose of our blade. Clean up everything. A little bit of an aftershave spritz. Nice little pick-me-up. And then for styling, let's do a little recap and then we'll style. So, just like we talked about, nice little pompadour mixed in with the skin fade. We initially established our dominant growth pattern from the front, cut our desired length, making sure the main event length is in the front to play around with. Used our initial guideline, blended the top, dried it, did our clipper work into it, alleviated weight, flows back nicely. Option one is something loose like this, works very well for this style. A little bit of a paste or something, matte finish pomade, casual wear, loose, no comb really needed. Very loose, very fun, very stylish, very predictable when they do it in the mirror, front to back. Option two, we can get it a nice, clean, slicker version. Still gonna use not too much of a shine of a pomade, a little dime size worth. And we'll work that in. And this will be for more of a going out look, professional look, but at the same time structured, but still a little bit loose, stylish. Same thing. They can just kind of do this with their fingertips. And then option three is the more streamlined version of everything. Then you can take a comb. Slick it. Blended, clean, very cohesive from front to back. Sits in the crown nicely. A little bit of a ramp in the front. The shape that we created with that initial scissor work. The haircut, it's doing the work. The product is just kind of a complement. We don't want the product to be the style. So we have three versions. The first one was like the most loosest, casual. Most guys don't feel like styling, so having that shape initially is gonna look styled without them styling it. Step two is a little bit of product, but still casual with fingertips. And this is more step three, where we're taking our time, getting every hair perfect, but still, whenever they feel like really dressing to the nines and getting a style that works with this look too. Very cohesive shape from every direction. blends into the beard nicely. Consultation, so the client will be able to emulate the style when they get home. Easy to style, grow back clean, very clean from the front. 45 minutes in the Standard Barbershop. That's the haircut. There we go.